Bitcoin is the currency of human traffickers, drug and arms dealers. Period. To everyone else, it is an investment based on the greater fool theory. It is specifically, it's bad. It's very bad. But most of the people who have it only use it as a holding place for their money, hoping it will go up because it's new and because of the greater idiot theory, the greater moron theory. That eventually some idiot, this isn't worth anything, and I was an idiot to buy it, but eventually a bigger idiot will come along and I could sell it to them for more. I'm not going to use a currency as a currency. You could buy shit with it, actual stuff. And I don't mean NF fucking T's, which is just like using it as a conduit. And right now, Bitcoin is one of the ways that Russia is getting around sanctions, so is China, getting around sanctions to flood our political system and Europe's political system, and by the way, pay for arsonists and saboteurs around the Olympics. So they're flooding money into systems to get around sanctions and tracking using Bitcoin. Just telling you. Yeah, Bitcoin is used for slave trades. It's terrible. People will buy it and sit on it. That's how most people are making their money on it, not using it. Therefore, it is not a currency. It is again, an investment vehicle based on the greater fool theory. Okay. Anyways, Trump doesn't know fuck all about Bitcoin, and good or bad. I'll show you. We'll do some needle drops because one of the best things about this speech, I think, is that no matter where you drop the needle, it's fucking lunacy.
And the Bitcoin summit.
And we just cannot let it continue. So we just wish them all a lot of luck. This happened as I'm walking on the stage. Most of you have heard about it, but it's a terrible thing.
I don't know what he's talking about. We'll back up.
And Hezbollah looks like. And this is things that won't happen. I mean, you just can't. They have to respect us. They cannot do that.
Oh, wait, fuck. He's talking about Hezbollah firing on the Golan Heights. One of the reasons, Jesus Christ, one of the reasons why October 7th happened, one of the most specific reasons, is this asshole recognizing the Golan Heights as the property of Israel. That was one of the triggering points. That's what basically Yahweh Sinwar said. That's... All right, well, fuck it. Once this asshole if he gets reelected, he's just going to throw everything at us. He's just going to tell Israel, wipe us off the fucking map. So we might as well do this.
They cannot do this. What they did just now with that attack is terrible. Just happened. And so to all, God bless everybody. This is so serious. They have to respect our country.
What? What? They've got to respect our country? They didn't fire on us, dumb fuck.
Never have happened with us.
Yes, by the way, yes. Bitcoin went down in value while he was talking for fear that he would become president, and everybody's like, he's going to wreck the economy. And since money's based on other money, especially Bitcoin, they were like, oh, fuck.
And we just cannot let it continue. So we just wish them all a lot of luck. This happened as I'm walking on the stage. Most of you have heard about it, but it just...
Why would they have heard about it if it just happened as you were walking on the stage? Are you just pointing out the fact that they're looking... Right now, everybody's looking at their phones instead of you weirdo? Am I... What? Hold on. Was I muted during that? You guys are hearing me okay, right? All right.
It's a terrible thing. But I'm thrilled to be here in Nashville to become...
He looks thrilled.
The first American president ever to address a Bitcoin event anywhere in the world.
Right. Why? And by the way, why in the ever-loving shit would you be addressing a Bitcoin event after the year it's had? I mean, you're talking about they used to think it was completely like FBI proof. That law enforcement the world over couldn't break into people's Bitcoin accounts and figure out who they were paying stuff. That's not true at all. And so one of the reasons why it stopped its trajectory and trended downward was because a lot of the criminals were like, all right, they're gonna be on to me. If I live in one of the countries where people give a shit, I'm screwed if they catch me. Whereas if you live in Russia or you live in China or you live in Iran or Saudi Arabia or someplace like that, they won't give a shit. They just let it happen. And again, they just had people lost $50 billion investing in one of the exchanges.
Anywhere in the world. I want to thank David Bailey for inviting me. Special guy.
Special guy. Oh, I'm here. Beats being somewhere else, maybe.
You know, this whole love affair sort of started. David, about 4 months ago, was at Mar-a-Lago. I took a picture with him. I mean, he's a nice-looking guy. He's okay.
Also, what the fuck is up with Trump's, part these days? He does, okay, he's always done this comb-over, right, that goes all the way across his head like Benny Hinn, the TV preacher. But for the last little bit, this side of it started to drape, like he's covering, the crow's peak part of his head, right, to make it look like it's not there, right? And then, so the other, it's almost like he curves it over and then he touches it and the big chunk just moves over and creates a part down the middle of his head, but a lopsided one. It's fucking weird. And everybody's afraid to tell him.
It's out here someplace. But I took a picture, it got published, Trump and David Bailey. All of a sudden, your industry went through the roof. So, David, congratulations. Whatever the hell you do, you did a hell of a job.
No, it did not.
But as well as all of the Bitcoin luminaries and legends here, you have legends in this room.
Yeah, they're all legends. Yeah, AKA bullshit.
Music for the family.
By the way, I'm gonna jump around because it's I feel like we should just do needle drops because they're hilarious. Here we go. I don't know what he's talking about here.
Who was killed? Fire chief killed a week and a half ago at the rally, and Billy Ray Cyrus went and played music for the family, and it was supposed to be so incredible. I've heard so many things about it, and Billy.
It was supposed to be? What happened? Did it go south? Did it go total Spinal Tap Stonehenge? What do you mean it was supposed to be?
Billy Ray Cyrus is here. Where's Billy Ray? He's around here someplace. And
it's Nashville. He lives there.
He's great. He's a conservative guy. Said, how did you get such a liberal daughter? How did that happen, Billy Ray? And by the way, Kid Rock was incredible at the convention. You probably...
Oh, Jesus Christ. He's just going through a list of douchebags now? All right, jump again.
Thomas Massey, John Rose, Mark Green and French Hill, and the next U.S. Senator from Ohio. I hear he's doing very well, Bernie Moreno. Where is Bernie?
Bernie's been following him around the country, by the way.
I hear Bernie and I don't think you've ever seen anything like it. And most people have no idea.
What are the odds that I would land right on you've never seen anything like it? What are the odds that he says something like that?
The way it's going now, it could very well be a possibility. There's never been anything like it. And I don't think you've ever seen anything like it. And
what if I have? What if I've seen something exactly like it? As a matter of fact, I feel like I'm having a deja vu right now. Like I'm seeing you say the same shit over and over again. It's almost like
gold, but based on the way it's going now, it could very well be a possibility. There's never been anything like it. And I don't think you've ever seen anything like it.
I've seen you say something like this lots of times.
And most people have no idea what the hell it is. You know that, right?
No, I don't. Yeah, this is true. Most of the time, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
So what happens when they figure it out? That's going to really be something.
I don't even know that people there know what he's talking about.
Bitcoin is not just a marvel of technology. As you know, it's a miracle of cooperation and human achievement. And a lot of...
Yeah, it's totally communist. It's that kind of cooperation. You should have talk to Jackson Hinkle. He's paying for his entire site with it.
Relationships that are formed. I just did a meeting, a roundtable with a lot of the leaders, and it's amazing. There's a great camaraderie. It's really interesting. There's
comrades. Yeah, just a lot of comrades. A lot of, in this particular thing, people call themselves comrade. Really?
Obviously, there's competition, but there's a relationship. There's a friendship that's developed with a lot of these people. I noticed it. I don't usually see that too often.
Yeah, well, con men tend to work together and then long for a while before they stab each other.
I see the opposite. Actually, they want to get each other. They want to kill each other. These guys have a great
yeah, he's talking about his campaign staff.
Feeling. Very smart people too. Congratulations.
They do have a great feeling. You felt all of them, did you? Did you grab them by the crypto?
Congratulations on all that you've accomplished. This room is amazing. The people in this room, high IQ individuals. I'm running against a low IQ individual. Her. I'm not even talking about him. Her. I got a low IQ individual.
And she's going to beat you. How will that feel? I mean, she isn't, but if you think so, it's going to be, you know, it'll make you more upset. So I'm for it. Please believe that.
The reason I've come to address the Bitcoin community today can be
summed up in one word: help. I need your money, and I need it under the table, and I need you to get some of it from some sketchy fuckers and bring it to me, pretending it's yours.
Summed up in two very simple words: America first. Because if we don't do it, China's going to be doing, others are going to be doing it. Let's do it and do it right.
Do what? Does he mean Bitcoin mining? They're not even allowed to use Bitcoin in China. It's illegal.
My vision is for an America that dominates the future. We have the best economy, the highest standard of living, the safe.
Real quick, what do you mean by dominate? Just like get the porn star you're trying to fuck at the golf tournament to roll up a copy of a magazine with your face on it and spank your ass? That kind of dominate, or?
Safest, the most beautiful cities. And by the way, when I say safest, our cities are going to hell right now. Our cities are going to hell. We're going to fix our cities. We're going to work with Democrats that have destroyed our cities, but we'll work with them, and we're going to get our cities back. We're going to bring our country back.
By the way, Memphis is finally getting the facelift it deserves and some new industry, and it's gonna fuck with this narrative in Tennessee in particular all the way through the election and into the midterms next time. Just letting you know. Also, he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. This is a dude who only goes to his own properties or event spaces like this, and he goes via like shitty little private airports, and he thinks commercial airports are as boring and stupid as local like rich asshole airports with their like single-use restaurant and their flight shop and their parking lot.
And we really were the freest and the most ambitious, most dynamic nation ever to exist on Earth, and we're going to get that back again because we're not there now. We're a nation in decline, you know.
Fuck you. No, we're not. All right, let's do another needle drop.
There are 8 of them. They spent
the electric chargers.
$9 billion to build 8 chargers to charge.
No, they didn't. The entire developmental project cost that amount. Now they can start building them. The 9 didn't cost that.
Ship a car. And at that rate, it would cost approximately $12 trillion to put the charges in. Somehow that's not working.
Yeah, exactly. Most of you probably pay, I don't know, $4 trillion for internet right now because that's how much it costs to develop it when it was the intranet that the DoD used.
The country would have to file for Chapter 11. We'll do a chapter, it's called Chapter 7 instead of a Chapter 11, but it's the equivalent. No. We have to use our brain. We have to
What?
to be, we are the party of common sense, okay?
All right. Okay. Then common sense would dictate, what the fuck do you mean chapter 7? All right, I'm jumping ahead.
Coercion and control.
All right, let's see what excited them.
You got to get out and vote. It should be no surprise that these same totalitarians are hell-bent on crushing crypto and obliterating, and that's what they want to do, and that's what they are stated. They're there right now. You have the SEC, you know what they're doing, obliterating Bitcoin. The reason could not be more.
How? Jesus Christ, if it wasn't for the SEC, these assholes would still be getting ripped off to the tune of billions of dollars. If you jail the fraudsters that are stealing from people who use Bitcoin, you're actually helping Bitcoin, you dumb motherfucker.
More clear because Bitcoin stands for freedom, sovereignty, and independence from government, coercion, and control.
He means you don't have to pay taxes on it and you can hide your wealth. That's what he's talking about.
The Biden-Harris administration's repression of crypto and Bitcoin is wrong, and it's very bad for our country. It's really quite...
Why? Why? How's it bad for our country? If Bitcoin ended tomorrow, would it have any impact on the country as a whole? Can anybody think of a reason why, if Bitcoin, like there was a big glitch and it ceased to exist tomorrow, you think it would have any fucking impact, especially a negative impact on the country? It might, we might have a mild murder spike in some cities where, you know, a couple of dudes who owed money to some drug dealers or some gun runners got dusted off because their nest egg of crypto that they were going to use to pay for it with just went up in smoke. Do you think it would have any fucking impact? None.
Honestly defeated the worst president in the history of the United States. I believe he was the worst president in the history of the United States. Think of it. Millions and millions of people have come into our country. They've come in from jails. They've come in from, think of it, insane asylums, mental institutions. They've come in as terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now. The same people that you just heard about.
No, discovered, caught. Sorry, DHS and ICE and all those guys get credit for catching people. The administration gets, if you don't see any, you're not catching any. That means they're getting through. Trump brags that in like 2019, there were no terrorists that entered the country. That means you didn't catch any, motherfucker, that they all got through.
Against your industry, and as long as I'm in the Oval Office.
He's not going to be in the Oval Office.
Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas, do you remember? Yes, I'm an Indian. She said, I'm an Indian. Why are you an Indian? You don't look like an Indian. No, my mother told me I have high cheekbones. Oh, that's why she was an Indian. So I named her Pocahontas. Elizabeth Warren.
Glory days, simple young girl's eyes, glory days. It's like he's doing old material.
Warren and her goons, and she's very nasty to you. She hates your people. She hates everything about you. Will keep their hands off.
Again, if she hated everything about Bitcoin, she wouldn't have gone after MBF or whatever his fucking name was, right? Right. Why go after the fraudsters in Bitcoin if you don't like Bitcoin? Let them get eaten by their own, right?
Bitcoin, they're going to keep their hands off crypto. They're going to let it grow. We're going to let it grow. On day one, I will fire Gary.
The word is metastasize.
Gensler and appoint a new SEC chairman.
Yeah, one issue voters. All they want is somebody who's pro-Bitcoin in there so that there will be a greater fool to buy them out of their investment. You put somebody in there that's pro-crypto, they expect it will go up to $100,000 before the next round of fraudsters come in and wipe everybody out, and they can sell their shit at 95 and make a killing and get out.
I didn't know he was that unpopular.
Thank you, Victor. By the way, Trump doesn't know shit about any of this. The people around him and Sean Hannity and others have thrown him some like bones to put in his speech to these folks.
Wow.
Well, I don't even know what are you guys even fucking mad about?
I didn't know he was that unpopular. Let me say it again.
Jesus Christ.
On day one, I will fire Gary Gensler. Whoa.
In Bitcoin, we trust. I would like to remind you that the Republican Party are the people who said that the opening ceremonies of the Olympics were idolatry and satanic. Meanwhile, these folks are putting in Bitcoin we trust. What word in the English language have they replaced with the word Bitcoin in that situation? I have to think about it maybe later. Okay.
Privacy, freedom of transaction, freedom of association, and freedom of
transaction. Doesn't exist, dummy.
Speech. We're going to go back to the old days when we were a nation.
When we didn't have digital currency?
That was building, not a nation that was eating itself alive from within. As part of
that's not happening.
Our effort to provide regulatory clarity, we will create a framework to enable the safe and responsible expansion of stable coins. Do you know what a stable?
Yes, staple coins, absolutely. They only work at Office Depot, ironically.
Coin is? Does anybody know? Please raise your hand.
Fuck you. Also, these assholes don't like stable coins. Stable coins are pinned to a nation's currency.
Allowing us to extend the dominance of the U.S. dollar to new frontiers all around the world.
Right. These are like the central bank digital currencies that they're talking about, the CBDCs that they're always like arguing is the fucking mark of the beast.
America will be richer.
They don't want that. They want Bitcoin. They want off the grid shit.
The world will be better, and there will be
stable coins are based on the idea that there's a functioning grid.
Billions and billions of people brought into crypto economy and storing their savings in Bitcoin. So that's the way it is. That's pretty much the way it is.
That's the way it is. I don't know what that is. Hey, asshole, if there's a stable coin that's pinned to the U.S. dollar that doesn't fluctuate and is safer, it would function as an actual currency. Why would anybody put their fucking money in Bitcoin unless they were fucking a cast member, in a remake of Breaking Bad?
Those who say that Bitcoin is a threat to...
I did, Andre. It was just my door. Someone was at my door.
The dollar have the story exactly backwards. I believe it is exactly backwards. Bitcoin is not threatening the dollar. The behavior of the currency...
Oh, sorry. The dollar is threatening Bitcoin? That's way better. Go ahead, Mr. America First. Say that again.
Bitcoin is a threat to the dollar. Have the story exactly backwards. I believe it is exactly backwards. Bitcoin...
Oh, okay. So the dollar is a threat to Bitcoin. And you're at a Bitcoin conference. And if that's true, what do you think they want to have happen to the dollar?
Bitcoin is not threatening the dollar. The behavior of the current U.S. government is really threatening the dollar.
Why? Because it's worth more than $1?
Danger to our financial future does not come from crypto. It comes from Washington, D.C.
All right, a bunch of libertarian bullshit.
It comes from trillions of dollars in waste, rampant inflation, and open borders while giving welfare and free health care to all of the illegal aliens that are pouring into our country.
Illegal?
By the millions and millions and millions. It comes from printing hundreds of billions of dollars to fund endless wars overseas while our city...
Yeah, we're not funding endless wars overseas. We aren't.
These are like combat zones here at home. 2 weeks ago in Chicago, 117 people were shot and 17 died. Afghanistan doesn't have anything like that.
You think they keep track in Afghanistan, fuckstick? Also, hold on. Real quick. I'm gonna grab this over here. Dink. Okay. Let's see. Park mass shooting. Suspect in July 4th. July 4th mass shooting. 100. Let's see. This is the highest number I can find is 109. Let's just assume he's talking about the same one. 19 fatally in citywide holiday weekend violence. So it's July 4th shootings. Let's see. 109 people were shot, 19 fatally in gun violence across Chicago from midnight to Wednesday to midnight Monday. So, I mean, it's a long fucking weekend. But during the extended 4th of July holiday weekend, called for accountability and responsible. This is a choice. It's a choice to kill. The choice to kill women. Okay, yep. Snelling said adjustments were being made at 4th of July heading into the weekend, including canceling officers' day off. So we have to really stop and think about the mindset of someone who would shoot a child, a helpless child, and an unarmed mother, and think that's okay. I think they're talking about the woman who shot the lady in the baby in the carriage and then shot the woman. Black Death has Johnson said, Black Death has been unfortunately accepted in this country for a very long time. Let's tell the full story of how we got here, because if we skip a chapter, it won't give us the ability to make proper adjustments so that we can ensure that stronger and safer becomes a reality with the help of more requested federal resources. Johnson said he's doubling down on efforts to get guns off the street and demand people step up and say something if they know who caused the violence. Right. So the Trump's own belief that snitches get stitches playing out in Chicago, and he's bitching about it.
Tough places. Look at what's happening with our cities. What's happening in the last
crime's going down.
Last 3 years, last 3.5 years. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Think of it.
Sure they have. 70s, the 90s. What are you talking about? Hold on one second. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Let's see if I can find it on YouTube. There you go. Street Justice, the Bronx, 6 years ago. To say oh shit, sorry, it's in the wrong browser, so you won't be able to hear everything. Mother brush bucket. Copy. There we go. And 1 second, chat room. Let me pop over here real quick. Let's just let's put the Wayback Machine in here, folks, and go straight to the Bronx was a war zone in the 1970s. Street Justice, the Bronx. This is 6 years ago, Discovery Channel. Let's just jump in here.
At one time, the Bronx was a thriving community. But towards the end of the 60s, that started to change. Businesses moved out. Crime moved in. People were left with an overwhelming sense of fear and hopelessness.
Bum, 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 bum.
No. Just imagine World War II bombed out Berlin. It was just a war zone.
Nobody's even ever seen anything like this.
Arson, murder, robbery, rape, burglary.
It was considered the murder capital in the United States. The worst ghetto in all of the United States.
At the epicenter of this crime wave was the NYPD's 41st Precinct, also known as Fort Apache.
The 401 was the busiest in the city in all levels of crime.
Hands down, most dangerous square mile in America. Some pretty tough patrol grounds.
Yeah, you think? Nobody's ever seen anything like this. Did you see the fucking buildings in that?
117 over 4th of July weekend.
It was 109. There's 19 that were killed. He's adding them up and confusing the numbers. It's not that weird. And it's also, the weekend is now Wednesday to Monday. So calm the fuck down.
17.
By the way, hold on. Let's see. Yeah, Chicago has 2.75 million people in it. Yeah.
17 people were shot and 17 died. This is the United States of America?
Yeah, that's not weird at all.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it is.
By the way, when I was president, we had no wars. We had no new wars.
We had no new wars. You ran on getting out of Afghanistan. You never fucking did.
Didn't start it.
Also, what the fuck are you talking about with Syria?
Remember when Hillary said, he'll start wars. Look at his personality. No, I said, my personality will keep us out of wars.
No, he started wars. He just lit a wick that burned until he was out of office.
But we finished off some of the old ones like ISIS.
No, you didn't.
Which they said would take 5 years to do, maybe more.
Also, he's got to say caliphate when he says ISIS, because that's the thing they take credit for getting rid of, because they were able to like drive a wedge. By the way, largely with the help of the Kurds that he fucking abandoned. So let's also start there with him just not only neglecting our European allies, but our Middle Eastern allies as well. So whatever the fuck. And yeah, and then there were ongoing violent conflicts, including, by the way, the eastern part of Ukraine that he just shrugged and didn't give a fuck about. And the Afghanistan war, he ran on getting us out and never did. And the rest of the time, I would like to remind everybody, the rest of the time he was talking about, why didn't we keep the oil? Why don't we go in there and help these people? This is like a protection racket. We should keep their shit. If we did all this fighting for them, fuck them, we take their oil. We should take the oil. He said this. Most of us remember times when we were walking down the street holding signs that said no blood for oil, specifically about Iraq and Afghanistan, and this motherfucker's going, why the fuck did we... Now, not then, not in the 80s, but... during his presidency, after his presidency, recently, last year, 6 months ago, is saying, why didn't we keep the oil?
More. We did it in 4 weeks. We beat ISIS in 4, because we have a great military.
Also, no, you didn't. I'm going to jump ahead.
They want to take away your money in the form of a first-time ever tax and a gigantic capital gains tax that will exceed substantially in many states over 50%. My plan is the opposite. We will lift the workers and we will create savers out of so many people, and we will reward success. We will not punish.
Okay, all right. So why is he saying we will create savers, meaning people will start saving their money again? Okay, first of all, he wants to bring the interest rate down, the federal interest rate down to below zero, right? He talked about that during his presidency. He still wants to do it. If he did it right now, it would crash the economy, but he would try to get it as close as he could. The lower it gets, why the fuck would you put your money in a savings account? People are saving now more than they ever have because interest rates are high enough where they actually can make a return on their saved money. How that name and numbers mixing up is a form of dementia that he, what did it say? Oh, sorry. Just being damn old like Biden, right? He should be pushed out too. Well, that's, I mean, there's a lot of that. I mean, never mind the fading energy and the boring and the fact that he's just making shit up. But he's always been a liar, and he's always, he's compulsively prone to exaggeration for ego purposes, like his entire life. So, it's funny, but he will skip past people going, oh, fuck, he's got dementia, because he's always been full of shit. One of the ways you can tell that somebody has dementia is that at one point they made sense and they knew what was real, and now they don't. He's always been so full of shit and so full of fiction that it's hard for some people to grasp that he's slipping. It just sounds like a different slice of bullshit.
Success. They want to punish success. They want to punish genius. Not going to let that happen. I will make...
Is that why we're not going to let you get elected again? We're just punishing genius?
The Trump tax cuts permanent and deliver massive tax cuts for families and individuals and businesses that produce jobs. That
produce jobs. Okay, yeah, Bitcoin doesn't produce any fucking jobs. None. It's an energy suck, and it's all self-involved.
Includes no tax on tips. You know that, right? Going to get rid of...
Which I guess is I'm going to go with a bribe counts as a tip. I'm also going to, if that's the case, then Venmo and all the, I guess, yeah, Patreon even, super chats, those are all tips, right? I mean, I'm not going to, this show you what a good guy I am. I bet you there's a case to be made for almost every way that I pay my bills doing this show would count as a tip, and yet I'm not going to vote for this motherfucker because it's bad for human beings.
Rid of the tax on tips. I will cut unnecessary and burdensome regulations, fight every day to make America the
Yeah, especially that one about lead in the water. Who needs that?
best place on earth to build a business, including a crypto business. It's going to be the best place. You're not going to have to go to China. You're not going to have to learn, gee, how do I learn Chinese? I want to learn it very quickly.
I did. Niam Burr.
I have a little granddaughter that speaks fluent Chinese. Can you believe it? And
yeah.
And it's a wonderful thing, but it's not easy, but you're not going to have to do it.
Nobody's ever going to have to learn Chinese again.
Most importantly for our citizens.
Spanish, though.
We will end.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, Spanish is the new Mandarin. Thank you, JD Christie, for bribing me. Everybody here, by the way, you're welcome to bribe me with your support to continue doing what I am doing. It's totally fine. Just saying.
And the inflation nightmare that this administration has created, and we will end.
Yeah, it's not. It's supply shock. It's not inflation. It's not. Monetary inflation is not what we're talking about. Never was.
End it quickly. It's got to end. It's destroying our country. You know, inflation.
All right, and if you end something like that quickly, what was the squeak? Oh, it's my phone. Notification. I went over time, so my do not disturb turned off. So now I get. It's okay. And by the way, yes, my text sound is the sound of the communicators in Star Trek: The Next Generation. You got me. Oh, thank you, Michael, for bribing me. I appreciate the bribe. I will continue doing what I'm doing, but only because you helped me under the table on YouTube. And JD Christie, same thing. Appreciate that. Michael, oh my gosh, thank you for the super chat. No, thank you. And thank you for bribing me. I appreciate it. Wonderful, wonderful.
The country buster. You can go back many, many.
By the way, he talks about this when he talks about Germany in the 1930s, because he's hopeful that inflation will thrust him into power the way it did with Hitler. Not at all kidding.
Years to Germany, and you look at what happened to Germany during their huge period of inflation.
Huge.
Destroyed the country. It's a country buster. The Bitcoiners, and I say to you that you recognize the dangers of inflation long before most others did. You understood
what? Why?
Inflation, frankly, better than anybody else.
Why?
You know that, don't you?
No. You're just kissing their ass. This makes no sense.
If only they had listened. They didn't listen to you. They didn't listen to you. The trillions of dollars in ridiculous.
Listen to you what?
Ways.
Oh, thank you, Edward. Thank you for. I think bribes qualify as tips, though. Under, I'm pretty sure, right? I'm pretty sure it would have to be like that. Yes.
Approved by our opponents resulted in the very inflation disaster that Bitcoiners had always predicted. 20, 30, and even 40% of the value of every dollar was wiped out, and wiped out quickly. You understood that, but a lot of other people didn't. The life
No, it wasn't.
savings of millions of Americans was rapidly destroyed, and very
Yeah, if they had Bitcoin.
simply uncontrolled inflation is
You surrender, monkey.
taxation.
Oh, I've got that's an English bribe. That's wonderful. I feel, slightly dirty. Wonderful. I got a bit of an English bribe. Yeah, is that what that was? I get it was an English bribe. Yeah. It's all right actually. I feel very, I feel like I should be dirty, but I don't at the same time. I feel naughty. DC's giving me another table tip. It's getting very naughty in here. I'm feeling a bit like an OnlyFans model, only, cheekier. Pam, you like my accent? It's interesting, and I don't know. This is a true story, and I'll end on this because we don't need to watch this bastard. And I'm way over, anyways. I've kept you guys late, and I appreciate it. But when I moved from Kentucky to Chicago, I had a really heavy Elvis-y, if I dare say myself, Kentucky accent. I really did. It was overwhelming. And you can, if you don't believe me, please go on Johnny Million's stream and ask him what I sounded like when I moved from Kentucky to Chicago. It was embarrassing, really it was. And yeah, it's true. For those that are wondering, I sound a little bit like this. And I was like, hey, I'm from Frankfort, Kentucky. And my mom and my dad and all them, they all live down there. And I still live, I still down there. I'm going to go down there for like summer and that kind of stuff. That's what I talked like. And so whenever I met someone in Chicago, I was so ashamed of my accent that I would pretend to be British to anyone that I knew I wouldn't see again. So if I went into a store, there's probably a bunch of people that in Chicago who later on, if I wanted to do Michael Caine, I'll just drop it down into the back of my the left side of my mouth, right in here, and go a bit almost borderline Australian, but dirtier. But anyways, so I would, as long as I knew I wasn't going to see someone again, I would say this. I bet there are people in Chicago who first saw me on television and went, that guy's English. He lived here for years. I met him. He came into my donut shop, for fuck's sake. And he's bullshitting. He's not from... Whatever this story he's telling people, it's nonsense. It's fucking nonsense. I'm telling you. He's, he came in here, ordered 5 donuts. And I was like, you don't want half a dozen? I was like, what's a baker's half a dozen? Is that 7? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, okay, I'll take that instead. Okay. I pulled a Ross. Before Ross was Ross, I'll tell you that right now. Years before. Michael Caine, the quietest Australian. That's right. So, yes, it's true. So I would fake that until I got my accent together. And I even went through a period. You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off. Right. I need to have a shite. But there was even a period where I pretended to be like hardcore downtown Chicago. So I actually, when later on, after I'd spent a little time down in Chicago, I could actually talk like some of the guys. And I had a friend, who went to Second City with me, and his brother had a really hard Chicago accent. And I was like, that's amazing. So I was like, dude, we got to have some pizza at some point, and let's, we're going to have to talk about this. And so I would just listen to this guy for hours. And I'm like, I could totally pull this off after a while, And so, Dennis Farina is fantastic. Dennis Franz, also amazing, incredible. So I would I'd carry that accent around in my back pocket. And I still, to this day, thank you, Deb, for the tip. That's lovely. And Paisley Jane, thank you. I love your encyclopedia, Alika. There's a lot to that. But I to this day, if I say dad, for example, my A's are particularly hard unless I work on it because of that Chicago accent I picked up and how I talked around people when I moved there. So you gotta love Chicago, man. My favorite city. And I gotta say, I can't wait to do Sexy Liberal there. Oh my God, it's gonna be a fantastic show. It's gonna be on pay-per-view. So don't tell anybody. I hope I didn't ruin it, but we're gonna sell. Yeah, it's gonna be there. Yeah, fantastic. It's gonna be on for people who are out of town, you'll be able to watch it as well. So that'll be fantastic. And then Nerd Halen show the night before. Chicago. No, it's Chicago. Chicago. You could say the whole Chicago. There's a go on the end of it. We're not stupid. It's not Chicago. My French accent is possible, oui. De rien, the problem with my French accent for the longest time was that I spent most of my time with my French accent trying to be funny, and a lot of times when you develop a what is effectively a comedy accent around any particular one, it is hard to make it normal again. But over time, I felt like there would be something important to being able to speak with some conversational element, so it's not so that people don't get the wrong idea that you are marking them all the time. So I do this kind of thing. Yeah, as Hercule Poirot, I would love that. Yes, probably the greatest French accent I ever learned was from Peter Ustinov. Yes, oui. But a Ruski accent's even easier. Well, Russian accent is very difficult, my friend, because it's very hard to. If you're doing a Russian accent, it's hard to tell how old you are, because every Russian that I do sounds 70. Tell us your story, young man. This is something we could do. Yes, Poirot is Belgian, oui, but he has a French accent. So he spoke Parisian French because of where he studied. Étudie français, oui. And I've always decided, and I will say this, that if the world ends, I will develop an Australian accent, the Ruth Gordon accent. Get out of here, you horse's ass. Steal my Oreos. Yeah. Do you have a Toronto accent? No way. You know who has a Toronto accent? Peter Page. Because he was hanging around and knocking boots with a bunch of Toronto dudes, and eventually on set said sorry instead of sorry, and we're like, what? When did you start? What in the world? When did you start having a what do you mean sorry? You're from LA. Where did that come from? Hold on. 你想要我说的普通话吗? You want me to speak Chinese? 可以. Yeah. New Zealand's a bit thinner, is all. It always reminds me of, even though, what was it? Olivia Newton-John's from Australia, her accent always sounded very Kiwi to me. It sounded very thin. But maybe that's just because she was very precious. Almost like an Irish lilt to it. Tinia. Yeah, it's Tinia. We're going to speak. I think it's wrong to even try to speak Wyoming. I gotta go eat something. I want 9 hot dogs and no bun.